In this video, we're going to do an extension question on coordinate geometry. We're asked to find P and Q given that the line y plus 4x equals 11 is the perpendicular bisector of the line joining P, 2 to 6, Q. We've got two unknowns to find. We need to find P and Q. That means that I need at least two equations to find these values. What I'm going to do is set about finding two equations involving P and Q. The first thing I'm going to do is now write y plus 4x is equal to 11 in the form y is equal to mx plus c. So y is equal to minus 4x plus 11. So we have a straight line with a gradient of minus 4, and this is going to cut the y-axis at 0, 11. So if we draw a quick sketch, it looks something like so. So taking the line, something like that. What I'm going to do now is put on a possible position for P, 2. So let's say that P, 2 was just going to be here. Let's label that up as P, 2. And then we're going to have 6, Q. And let's put that just here. So what we're going to have is this point, 6, Q. What we have is a line segment joining these 2 points. We're told now that this line is a perpendicular bisector. This is going to allow us to collect two pieces of information. The first thing that we can see now is that this line will be at 90-degree right angles to the line segment connecting these 2 points. Also, if it's the perpendicular bisector, it will cut through the midpoint of the line segment. So what I'm going to do is set up two equations involving P and Q. So let's start off now with the gradient. The gradient of the original line we were given, y plus 4x is equal to 11, will be minus 4. M1 is equal to minus 4. Therefore, what we can say is the gradient of the line perpendicular to it, which I'll say is M2, will be equal to the negative reciprocal, which is 1 over 4. We can say M1 multiplied by M2 will be equal to minus 1 if perpendicular. So let's now get the gradient of this line segment in terms of P and Q. We know that it's the change in y over the change in x. So it'll be q minus 2 over 6 minus p, and that will be equal to 1 over 4. So the first thing I'm going to do now is from here simply go ahead now and express this in terms of P and Q. So I'll have one linear equation. Multiplying both sides by 4, we'll have 4 the quantity q minus 2 is equal to 1 lot of the quantity 6 minus p. Expanding the brackets, we're going to have 4q minus 8 is equal now to 6 minus p. Just rearranging, adding 8 to both sides and adding p to both sides, we have our first equation involving P and Q. So 4q plus p will be equal to 14. I'm going to call this equation 1. So that's the first equation, and now we're going to look for another. This point right here is the midpoint, and we know that that's going to lie on the line y equals minus 4x plus 11, or if you like, y plus 4x is equal to 11. So let's now look at the midpoint. We're going to look at the midpoint in terms of P and Q. So for the midpoint, we add the x coordinates, so P plus 6 and divide by 2, and then we add the y coordinates, 2 plus q and divide by 2. So we could write these like so as the midpoint, or we could just write this as p over 2 plus 3, 1 plus q over 2 if you want. All we're going to do is go ahead and simply substitute it into this line. That point lies on both the line segment and the original line. So taking y plus 4x is equal to 11, we can take either. All I'm going to do is sub it in here. So if you want to put this one in, you can do, or if you want to put that one in, you can do. I'm going to use this one right here, and we can say now that 1 plus q over 2, that gives us a y coordinate, plus 4 lots of p over 2 plus 3 will be equal to 11. So if we look at this, we've got now 1 plus q over 2 plus now 2p plus 12 is equal to 11. So at this stage now, if I want, I can subtract 13 from both sides. So we've got q over 2 plus 2p will be equal now to minus 2. So all I'm going to do is add the 12 and the 1 and subtract it. At this stage, it's entirely up to you. If you want to make your life slightly easier, you could multiply through by 2. Looking at this, it's probably easier just to sub these in. We're going to have q plus 4p will be equal to minus 4. This gives us our second equation in terms of p and q. So at this stage, all we need to do is solve these two simultaneous equations. Entirely up to you on how you want to solve these. All I'm going to do now is multiply this equation, equation 2, by 4. So I'm going to have 4q plus p is equal to 14. That's equation 1. Then I'm going to have 4q, and then I'll have plus 16p will be equal to now minus 16. I'm going to subtract downwards. That's going to leave me 0. Minus 15p will be equal to 30. So we can see from here that p is going to be equal to minus 2. All I've done is simply divided both sides by minus 15. To find the value of q, I'm going to sub it back into equation 1. So we've got 4q minus p, which is 2. So we've got minus for 2 is going to be equal to 14. We've got 4q is equal to 16. And now dividing both sides by the 4, q is 4. So our final answer, p is minus 2 and q is 4. And that's one of the many different approaches you could take. I think looking back, it probably would have been easier to sub in these values, but either way round, we have our two equations in p and q, and we go ahead and solve.